welcome Frank, thank you for joining.
Thank you very much for having me.
Love to have you. I mean, your work is absolutely phenomenal and your story is behind the work. I mean, you got the dream job, if I could call it that, or dream life, let's put it that way instead of job, because when you're doing something you love, it's not a job, am I right?
No, it's, yeah, I often get told that, exactly that. You know, you've got the dream life, you've got the dream job. But yeah, of course, it's amazing. Like, I get to live some of the wildest adventures. And I could not have imagined that when I was younger, but it also comes at a cost. And that's usually the flip side that people don't really see. But yeah, it's amazing.
We're going to definitely dive deep into that with regards to the actual behind the scenes with regards to that. But tell us a little bit more about you, your genre of, obviously you're doing photography as well as videography. Tell me how you started out, how did you get going, where did your love start?
So I only picked up a camera quite late. I was 30 years old. But basically what happened is that I grew up near Paris. I was born in France, and I didn't really watch much TV when I was a kid, except when Jacques Cousteau was on. So that was, for those who don't know, it's an oceanic explorer. It's the guy with the red beanie. And yeah, so he was a massive inspiration. Anyway, fast forward 20 years, then I get to Australia. We migrated to Australia. And that's when I picked up a camera because I was living by the ocean side and I had great subject to shoot. And after that, I soon met a guy on a surf trip, which had started a collective of photographers called the Frothers Gallery. And this gallery was specializing in ocean imagery. And he offered me to become a contributor to his gallery, mainly because I was a good guy to him, like a friend, but not because of my images, because they were actually pretty bad.
I don't believe that.
But the thing is, I had to do, no, they were really average. But the thing is, he said, so my mission there with him for the gallery was to wake up before dawn, most days of the week, and take photos of my local beaches and take the surf, the people, the lifestyle, the sunrise, and send the best images out into a newsletter. And this was the first step in my evolution because I had an audience now, so I had to step up my game. And because I was shooting almost every day, it made me a better photographer quicker. Obviously, the more you shoot, the better you become. And this is really how I started photography. So I started quite late with the D90, which was the first camera that I was doing, and that was the first DSLR I was doing, and videos and photos. And yeah, that was the starting point. And he wanted to shut down the gallery because he was moving away from Sydney, and I bought it off him. So I had a corporate job, and I bought the gallery, and I was doing the morning reports, so that was a lot of work. And anyway, long story short, I ended up I wanted to redo the gallery's website, and someone referred me to a web developer, and I met this guy, and the first question he asked me was, what would be your ultimate dream as a photographer? And I never really thought of that. And I was like, oh, you know what, when I was a kid, I admired what Jacques Cousteau was doing. And so he said, oh, it's funny you say that, because I know this couple of explorers, they're a couple, Emmanuel and Guylain, they're currently in the north of Greenland doing underwater and under ice exploration for science with their team, and they're called Under the Pole. And he said, if you want, I can put you in touch. And I went to find out who these guys were, and what I saw absolutely blew my mind. They had gone by foot to the geographical North Pole, dived there for the first time, documented a world that had never been seen before. And I sent those guys one email, and then 2 and 3 and 4, and then that was my way in. And from that point, I had to resign to join those guys. I had to learn how to dive, and I started to become, I became a documentary photographer from that point on. So I loved doing ocean photos. I loved doing photos that would be ending up on walls, but there was still something that was lacking for me, and I think I needed the story behind. And that was my way into an amazing story of trailblazers doing incredible discoveries in the ocean for their protection and their conservation. So that was my way into this world. So now I'm an adventure and documentary photographer with a specialty in deep diving stories.
That is unbelievable. I really love your story. You know what, and just I wanted to quickly feed back on that, and the takeout I got just from that section is, you know, a lot of the time we need something to drive us to take the photographs. And that's what I loved, is you kind of like, when you're losing weight, I'm going through that, you kind of have to put yourself in a position that you have to do it, or you're going to fail and you're going to look stupid. But what's nice is you had that drive. Every morning you had to get up, you had to shoot. And
Exactly.
I agree with you. It's
Exactly.
push,
And that's
push.
the only way. And you can't expect to be good at anything if you just try it once. And it's funny, it's just like a muscle. It's like going to the gym. And then I think the fact that you're going every day, it's like muscle memory. You're gaining that muscle memory. So then you do it long enough, even if you stop, when you take it back, then that's it. It's within you, it's muscle memory, you have that. But you have to build, you have to put in the hours at the start. And I can say that I didn't really have talent. It's not false modesty, but I didn't have talent. But I think you can achieve a lot more through hard work, determination, and sometimes a twist of luck. But the harder you work, the more luck you get. That's the reality. So I think my message, I guess, is don't think you don't have talent. You know, like if you work hard enough, you'll catch up with the person who's got talent. The only difference between you and someone who's got talent is that the person who's got the talent maybe needs a little bit less hours. But if you put the hours in, you'll catch up with those guys. So I think I guess it's a message of hope. Is like if you work hard, if you shoot every day, one day, like you can be professional. You can just make a living out of it if that's what you want. You can get into the project that you've always dreamed to work for.
And I love it that you had a dream as well, and you followed your dream, because a lot of the time we let stupid things let us down. Like, I mean, you heard about it. It's about opening your mouth, talking to people, telling them your dreams. And it's amazing how those doors start opening up when you really put it out there, if I can say, to the universe.
Yeah, I always say, I did a talk last night here, and that's one of the messages, like, I want people to know that achievement, success, and opportunities often hide in our everyday conversations, in our everyday life. Just like this conversation that led me to Greenland in the first place, because I said that to that guy, but I could have just left it there. I went like, oh, it's incredible that this guy is telling me about it. Okay, I'm going to send those emails. So it's up to us to read those signs and pick up on them. And there's been a few of those throughout my career, and I've always, if a door is half open, I'll open it widely. And then you find the next door, and then the next door. But you have to dare. And that's the key message that I want to push is dare. Is you don't have to be the best to start something, but start. Dare to make that first project, and then things will unfold. But daring is it means going past your mental hurdle and your self-worth questioning. Yeah, but you don't have to be the best. That's the message. It's like you can work. And the other thing I would say there on that front is the fact that it's not all the success and the achievements and all of these things is not just about photography. People rely too much sometimes on the technicalities of it, on the best cameras that they want to own, and it's great, and you should try to be the best photographer you can. But it's about who you are, the values you carry, how you behave with people, how you make people want to work with you. And I think this is probably as important, if not more important, than being the best photographer.
Let's get your Instagram on. Let me get that out first. So give us your social handles for the audiences.
So Instagram is Franck, F-R-A-N-C-K, and Gazzola. So Franck Gazzola, but the Franck is C-K.
Matt, you have to go and see his work. It's absolutely phenomenal. Now, we're going to get onto the gear a little bit later, but I mean, you're doing, right now, you're on expeditions, you're working, I saw, with Rolex. I mean, that's some top brands and that kind of thing. Tell me, how is it on those expeditions? How difficult is it?
So I started with this project called Under the Pole 10 years ago, and I've been their official photographer for the last 10 years, like to the day, really. Basically, it's we're on board an expedition ship. It's usually about 15 people with 13 beds, and we basically explore the oceans around the world at depths that are often never explored before, and sometimes in very unforgiving places on the planet. Our specialty is in polar diving, so we have this expertise where we can actually go and dive in very, very cold places, and we go at depths that, like I said, never explored before. We study basically the twilight zone, and the twilight zone is roughly between 30 to 150 meters. They've done deeper than that sometimes, but basically this zone is widely unknown because it is too shallow for submersibles when you've got the means to have some, but it's also way too deep for conventional diving. So as a result, we know nothing about this zone. it's there, you know, it's not very far, but we know nothing. So every time we go down there, we discover new things. So that's the work we do. And my work is to document the expedition, but I have to document from the sky to topside to the life on board to what we find deep underwater. So that's how my documentaries basically require everything. I do science, I can do, portraits because we need portraits. I can do establishing shots with drone. I can do, you know, then I need to do macro stuff because some of the stuff we're studying. So I have to be able to do all of those things. I can obviously underwater, landscape. Like I need to touch on all those different styles of photography. And I cannot really be specialized into one. So being a jack of all trades and a master of none is exactly where the mastery lies in my world, which is great because then you have to be curious and explore a lot of style and genres.
So now tell me, the gear you're using, you obviously have to have the best gear, so you got the Nikon gear. What gear are you currently shooting on now with Nikon?
So my main, I'd say the day-to-day, I would use the Z6 Mark II and the Z7 Mark II, just because of the form factor and just the ease of use. Now, underwater, and also for when I can, I use the Z9. Z9 is a beast because I do basically, especially underwater, I constantly switch from stills to motion. The work that I do outside of the expedition, I mainly use the Z9 because I often do, now half of my work is video. So I can do both with the Z9 is just the same, it's a beast. But underwater, the thing with the Z9 is that the battery life is so good that it can sustain those dives, because when we go very deep and we stay longer, and we stay long at depth, we have very long decompression. So our dives are not like a 40 minutes dive when you use normal tanks, you know, and you go shallow. Our dives are anywhere between 3 to 5 hours.
Wow.
So I need to have batteries that actually can last that long. And reality is that usually it's my Ninja, my monitor, that dies before my Z9. But yeah, I use mainly Z9, Z6 Mark II, Z7 Mark II. And as far as lenses are concerned, I have to go super wide because I work a lot in confined space, in a tight environment like a boat. But I can be shooting a polar bear from the boat to somewhere, or some animals or some wildlife. So I'm using the 180 to 600.
Okay.
And if I have to have one backpack, I usually go 14 to 24.
Yeah.
I use a 24 to 120.
Okay, yeah.
Which is an incredible lens. I've used that a lot in mountaineering because it allows me to not change lens. And then I would use the 180 to 600. So in one backpack, I can have the two small bullet, the two Z6 or Z7, the long lens, the 600, and the 14 and the 24 to 105. And in one backpack, I basically have wide to super tight. And if I'm not tight enough with the 600, I can always crop into the sensor a little bit if I have to. So this is why I think this gear is amazing.
Your journey sounds absolutely amazing, and I see we've got to move on with regards to that. Last tip to anyone out there in photography, I know you gave some tips already, just final tip to anyone that's looking at getting into your style of photography, your genre, one big tip to them.
I think it will come back to the fact that if you've got decent equipment already, I wouldn't go for the stuff that is the most recent. I would just go with something that works and it is sturdy. That's the first thing. So you don't have to be the best, the ultimate, but have something sturdy, and that works. And the second, because usually when you do adventure, you're very remote, you cannot get replacement parts. So make sure that whatever you buy is sturdy. And I can tell you, being on expeditions for a long, long time, I've never had issues with my Nikon bodies and lenses. The only issues I've had is me dropping them on the floor, and that has nothing to do with the camera, it has to do with me. But the second thing I would say, it has more to do with the attitude. And this is another thing, is like, if you want to get into a project like that, I think it's very important that you bring the right gear, but you bring the right attitude. Because in adventure projects like I do, you share everything with the people around you for 24/7. You live in a confined space, and whether it's on a boat or in a tent or on the side of a mountain, you're going to live some very vulnerable moments. You're going to maybe endure some life-threatening situations. And at that point, it will come down to what kind of person you really are not how technically good your photos can be. So I think this is an important thing, is like bring the best gear you can and you can afford, but make sure your attitude is there as well.
I love that advice. Definitely, we need to get you on another podcast because I've got so many questions for you. It's been so amazing. Give your Instagram handle one more time, just for the viewers out there.
So it's Franck, Franck Gazzola. That's mine. And then Under the Pole. So under the THE Pole, Pole, is the expedition that I've been documenting for the last 10 years.
And then, happy birthday.
Oh, thank you.
Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
So young today. So it's his birthday today as well. And thank you for joining us on the Nikon podcast, the ultimate podcast.
It was my pleasure.
It was amazing chatting to you.